ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
We are ready to go for this Wednesday, April 16th. Your drive, it begins right now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is going to be 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got baseball to get into. Not a good way to go out last night for the Thundering Herd. How many of you were there and how many of you were in total shock? The way that Marshall lost yesterday, it was a heartbreaker. That's what the game story said. A heartbreaker as Marshall fell to number 24 West Virginia by a final score of 5-4. Marshall played well in that game, and I'm confident about the rest of the way for the Thundering Herd. However, the way that Marshall lost that game, unfortunately, not the way I would rather lose to a walk-off or something like that, but instead you have a stolen base beat you. You steal home and you win. You tie the game if you're WVU, and then you win on a steal of home in the 8th. How does that happen? So I think we're all still in shock over that one. But it was a good game nonetheless. Thundering Herd played well. Unfortunately, didn't get the win, so we'll have to bounce back from that one. Marshall will face off against number 21 Coastal Carolina. That is coming up 6 p.m. Thursday. It's Conway, South Carolina. And, of course, the Thundering Herd looking to improve its record in league play. Right now, Marshall is now 18-19. West Virginia improving to 31-4. That was a tough loss yesterday, so I want to get that one out of the way real quick. Good crowd there. That's the thing. That was a great crowd. I hope that crowd shows back up. I know a lot of them are WVU fans, but still, I hope that crowd shows back up to go watch their Herd. I don't want to see Marshall have big crowds just for like WVU. I want to see big crowds for all the games, as much as you possibly can. And I know you can't go to every game, and baseball's not going to have a full house every night. That's at all levels, but still, you can put a good effort out for that game. You can show up to some of these other series. Be great to see that kind of crowd more often, not have the large attendance be just, the WVU game is probably going to be our biggest crowd of the year. I want to see a lot of Herd fans maybe start to show back up at the ballpark. And honestly, maybe there were a lot of Herd fans probably there for the first time. I know I talked to a couple of people. That was their first time going. And so if you get a chance to go back, I think it'd be more fun to have more. And, of course, if you haven't been to the ballpark yet, you got plenty of opportunities. We've got Colecats coming up soon as well. So a little minor league baseball action going to take over as soon as the Herd season's over. So plenty of opportunities to get out to Jack Cook Field. But still, that was a fun game. And, of course, yesterday the Nationals beat the Pirates 3-0. Both teams in action tonight. We go on the air at 6:15 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Reds got the win over the Mariners 8-4. Game 2 of that series tonight, 6:40 in Cincinnati. Guardians beat the Orioles 6-3 in Game 2 of that series coming up tonight, 6:35 in Baltimore. And yesterday, watched a lot of hockey as well. Columbus beat Philadelphia 3-0. And so the Blue Jackets are still alive for a Stanley Cup playoff spot. Got to wait to see what happens with Montreal tonight. If Montreal loses, and if that happens, then I'll tell you what, the Blue Jackets have got a really good shot of getting in and getting that last spot and going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how this shapes up the next couple of days. The regular season ends on Thursday. Our text line this hour, we're going to open that up for you in a few minutes. It's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to change gears in just a minute. Usually on Wednesdays, we have either Ryan Crisp or one of his staff members to talk about what's coming up, what events are happening at Marshall University, how you can get involved. Today, we haven't talked to him in a long time. We're going to get to talk to Devin Miller. He's now the director of Athletic Fund, Marshall. And if you remember Devin, he's the hero of the Notre Dame game. That's all you need to know about Devin. But Devin is still with the program. He's just now the director of the Marshall Athletic Fund. And so there's a lot to get into with him. So we're going to talk to him in a few minutes. And then, of course, we got to talk transfer portal. Who's in, who came, who left. I think the big one today, and you might disagree with me, but Ahmed Bradshaw's son coming to play for the Thundering Herd. How about that? That's probably the big one for a lot of you today, because you have someone that has heritage, has a history with Marshall University. That's the big one there. And so Zay Bradshaw coming to play for the Thundering Herd. And you've got a legacy coming back to be a part of the Thundering Herd, and so you can continue that legacy. And that's a player you can identify with only because the same thing with Cole Pennington. Cole Pennington, not necessarily the quarterback that was going to lead Marshall to the promised land, but Cole, obviously a fan favorite because of Chad Pennington. And so I'm sure that Zay Bradshaw is going to have the same level of affection, if not more so, from Thundering Herd fans because, again, Ahmed Bradshaw, one of the all-time greats. I mean, we can use that term a lot, but you have to when it comes to with Bradshaw. You have to one of the all-time greats, and you can say that with a straight face. It's not just being nice because he was a good player and you have fond memories of him. No, Ahmed Bradshaw, one of the all-time greats, and so his son going to be playing at Marshall University, and you hope that he can make a name for himself and stand out from his father and still get everything he possibly can at Marshall University through either on the field or the experience itself. So that's the cool one. And, of course, there's some names in the portal. We talked about Reese Veerhoff being in the portal yesterday. Marcel Williams, wide receivers, in the portal. JT Klein, who's on the edge, in the portal. Cam Kennard, safety, in the portal. Za Jackson, Huntington High standout, offered. Hopefully he's coming to Marshall. That would be cool. Of course, he had a chance to stick with the Mountaineers, but you bring a new coach in, you have restructuring, you have roster limits, and it just didn't seem to be in the cards for Za Jackson. So I would love to see Za come play for the Thundering Herd. But we'll keep an eye on the transfer portal. You can text the program, be a part of it today. I'm giving you an opportunity to go see the Pirates take on the Guardians Sunday. I've got a 4-pack of tickets for you. It's our text to win question of the day. What's the biggest name you've seen in the transfer portal so far? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. When we continue, we turn our attention to what's happening at Marshall this week. Devin Miller is joining us, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. He's on the other side of the break here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Wednesday edition. You've still got time to get our text line going right now. We'll do that 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. We're going to give you a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to go see the Pittsburgh Pirates in action taking on the Cleveland Guardians. That's coming up on Sunday. So all you have to do is text to win. 304-396-TALK, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. I want to welcome to the program now. It's been a couple of years since we've talked to him. Of course, we all know Devin Miller. hero of the Notre Dame game. I'm sure that he will smile when he hears that. Tight end from Marshall University for several years, and he stayed with Marshall. He's now the director of the Athletic Fund, and he's with us now on the program. And Devin, I'm sure a lot of people still come up to you, talk about that Notre Dame game, but you had a fun career. You had a great time at Marshall University, so now you stayed. You're now the director of the Athletic Fund, and maybe just as a reminder to some, what does that role entail? What's your day-to-day like?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Paul. It's great to hear from you. But my day-to-day, taking care of the Marshall Athletic Fund, is just letting people know how they can impact our athletes, what the Marshall Athletic Fund takes care of as far as scholarships, nutrition, facilities, different capital campaigns, and that's all a part of the Big Green, but the Athletic Fund specifically handling the scholarships and nutrition and equipment for these guys. It's the easiest way you can affect every bit of Marshall athletics, the foundation of the Big Green Scholarship Foundation itself, if you will. But yeah, the Notre Dame game was great. I love to have my name attached to that. It was a great victory for the Herd and really a special moment for the Marshall community overall. And I'm just very fortunate to have made it open on that scramble drill that Henry threw me the ball on.
Devin Miller is with us, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. How did the Athletic Fund impact you personally?
The Marshall Athletic Fund impacted me directly by giving me a chance to pursue my athletic dreams and compete for a championship at the highest level of Division I athletics. And it also helped me earn a degree. So I can't thank the Big Green. It's even before I was a part of it, I couldn't thank them enough. And the facilities we had allowed us to do that. So the scholarship itself, that beautiful indoor facility, when we were trying to get things done in late November and win games in November and December, that was a beautiful thing to have. And the fuel counter I got to see put in my last year, it's amazing what our community can accomplish once we all contribute what we can,
Having that athletic background, you were there, you went through it, you bled, you played, you know what it takes, you know what needs to be done. How has that helped you or inform you as you move forward as the director of the fund?
Yeah, it helps me when I'm building relationships with these people who want to understand how they're helping or what they're helping. I'm just a living testament to that. So if you want to help create more leaders in our community and more leaders in the workforce and great ambassadors of Marshall University, this contributing to the Marshall Athletic Fund or the Big Green definitely helps do that, and it also helps us stay at the top where Marshall belongs.
Is there anything that once you took over that you identified that is something that's maybe close to you that you want to further, you want to improve, you want to start? Are there any projects like that really got started because of you?
Yeah, I like what I'm talking about right now, and what I mentioned before is just people always want to know what the impact is, or why should I do this, or what happened when I did give. So I've started a new donor impact tab on our website, and we're starting a campaign overall on all of our social media, kind of highlighting people telling their stories just like mine of how earning that scholarship or and in the classroom, how it affected them, and also how they got a chance to play for titles and excel in their sports individually at the same time. So we've got a video rolling out here in the next couple of weeks of Taylor Strickland Chambers, who is now a business owner of Austin's at the Market downtown, of John Elmore. He just won that G League final the other day, and Tyler Brown, we're going to highlight him too. He's still local and founded 3 businesses of his own, and one of my other teammates, Dominic Murphy, as well. And we've got 7 or 8 more lined up, so I can't wait for people to hear their stories and how they're having success beyond sports or still in their sport because of the chances that having that scholarship gave them. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I've been working on and kind of cooking up the past couple months since I started here.
How exciting has it been for you to branch out from football? You mentioned some names, different sports. What have you learned as you have started to try to find out and tell these stories? What's maybe stood out to you? Maybe what's the same, and maybe what's something that surprised you?
As I get in this space a little more and we dive into the intertwined world of fundraising and NIL, I noticed that a lot of our international athletes can't really accept NIL until they get to a professional level, which is basically just sponsorships at that point. But some of those athletes who are just coming over here just for the sole aspect of a scholarship, it kind of gets lost sometimes. And I'm happy everybody can rightfully get paid for the name and image that they create, but it really means a lot when I hear some of our international athletes, whether it be tennis or soccer, kind of talk about how getting over here and earning a scholarship, it really just changed their life, just the scholarship. So the value in that is so grand and large and can really propel you forward. So that's been my favorite part.
My guest is Devin Miller, director of the Marshall Athletic Fund. And one thing that happens at Marshall University a lot is that sense of community. And so everybody's family, that seems to be one of the selling points that makes Marshall a little unique, a little different than what you see at other institutions. And, of course, one of those things includes the Hurd brothers. And that group was in town this past weekend for the spring game. And that's probably one of the more unique groups in the country because it doesn't matter when you played. If you played 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or beyond, or you played 2 years ago, you're now a Hurd brother. What's that group meant to you before you were in administration, and what's it mean to you now as you're the director of the fund?
Before I was finished playing, those guys being around meant a lot to understanding our history and understanding what the culture is really like at Marshall. And like you said, it's really unique. I had two older brothers both play, and I don't really see them play at the Division I level, both Power 4. And they don't get invites to stuff like this where you can gather over 140, 150 guys, even maybe more than that on the day of. And like you said, through decades and generations to just come out and just show love and shake our hands when I was a player. But on the other side of things, as the director of the Marshall Athletic Fund, it shows me that it really matters. And the community thing isn't just something, a selling point that we just decided to go with and run with. It's truly our identity. And it was amazing to see that this past weekend and hear some of the stories from the golden age of the 90s and guys talking about the first winning season and different stories from different head coaches. And it was amazing to experience. And I'm blessed to be a part of that Hurd brotherhood. And I can't wait to bring back even more next year, hopefully, with the job that Mark George has done at the quarterback club too. Is pretty impressive, man. I can't give him enough credit of what he put together for that too.
Was there a story that stood out to you that you can actually share? Because I know Coach Gibson mentioned there was refreshments during some of these times. So is there anything that you can share that maybe it struck you or stood out to you?
Well, I heard one story about head coach Sonny Randall. I think I heard he was a tough guy to play for, and some of the conditioning was crazy. As times get farther and farther away, the conditioning story seems to get embellished over time, and I'll probably do the same thing. But I heard a guy went all the way back home, about 7 hours away, wherever it was. I think it was middle of Pennsylvania or something like that, or could have been south even. But I heard that he personally drove to the guy's house, and I don't think there was much of a negotiation about him coming back to the team, but he picked him up out of the bed and quote-unquote convinced him to come back himself and drove him back to the dorm and said that he was going to be a player for them. And I forgot the name, but I'm pretty sure he ended up to play the rest of his career out at Marshall still. So just the funniest stories like that, stuff like that probably won't ever happen again, but it's fun to share and talk with those guys about what all the crazy summer workout and winter workout stories that we've all been through.
My guest is Devin Miller, director of the Marshall Athletic Fund, and it kind of emphasized that point a little bit. There were a lot of new faces on the field Saturday, and this was maybe the first time that a lot of Hurd fans got to see those people. They've been putting the work in. They've been trying to form a team to be this year's version of the Thundering Herd. But just as somebody who's been on the team a few years and you know the history and the background a little bit more, how heartening was it to see those guys show up at the fountain ceremony, the spring ceremony, the turning of the fountain on, and then line up and want to shake every single member of that alumni group's hand, before they went back in the locker room. Just, how special was that to see that this group of guys, this coaching staff, they really emphasize that and they kind of get it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's awesome to see, and it's kind of powerful because that ceremony is about like the rebirth of Marshall's football program after that, and it seems like that's kind of where we are right now after losing so many guys and changing staff. That everybody felt like we were kind of up in the air and a little bit kind of down about how the season might have ended. And even though it was on a positive note, winning a championship, I still want to give credit to that. Like, that's an amazing accomplishment. But how everything went, everybody was kind of felt a certain way, and to see everybody kind of united again and that rebirth and the rejoicing and the spirit of Marshall football that happened at the fountain ceremony was very special. And I believe the former player's name was Jesse Smith, correct? I don't want to mess that up. Was it Jesse Smith who spoke?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and he was amazing. I want to give him credit for that too. His story about his time here and seeing all the new players, like actually there, every last one of them. It was amazing, and Marshall football. I don't think it went anywhere, but it felt good to know that we could rejoice for the new season.
Devin Miller is my guest, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. So the fund always working. You're always trying to come up with new ways to get fans involved, to make sure that you have everything you need to impact these students' lives. And then sometimes you just do fun things at Marshall that gets everyone involved, and you have a good time, and you help the general fund, you help the athletic department as well. Bingo at the ballpark is coming up. Now, I don't know how much you talk to Ryan Crisp. I talk to him fairly often. He's excited about this. Why is he so excited about this, and why should fans be excited about bingo at the ballpark?
I mean, it's going to be a unique experience. I've never experienced a night out on an actual field of play, and
you know what that sound is? We have lost Devin. I'll tell you what, we're at a good spot to take a break right now. So we'll do that. We'll come back. We'll get him in here and wrap that thought up because I know he wants to talk about it. So we'll do that when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We have solved the technical problems. We've got Devin Miller back with us, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. We were about ready to talk about bingo in the ballpark, and then all of a sudden something happened. I think Ryan Crisp was in the room, tripped over the phone, hung up on you. Yeah, go ahead. You can blame him. That's who I usually blame on these Wednesdays for this stuff.
He's usually responsible for some technical difficulties once or twice a day, so we'll blame that on him. But back to what I was getting ready to say. A bingo ballpark is a unique experience. It's not often you get to kind of enjoy a meal, have a night out on the actual field of play, and really take in how beautiful Jack Cook Field is. But I'm excited for what's going on. If you don't mind, I kind of can run through everything real quick of how it's going to go.
You've got the floor. It's all you.
Yeah, so we're going for an inning style setup. So I think that is a fun way to keep everything on pace. So the first inning will be a nice cocktail hour reception on the field. I think that we're going to even set up one of the dugouts as the actual bar. And then the second inning will be some opening remarks from some of our administration. We'll get into the first game of bingo will be the third inning, and the bingo games you won't want to miss because we're giving away a Carnival cruise trip. We're also giving away a weekend stay at the Caesars Palace in southern Indiana. My personal favorite will be a trips to the Georgia football game we'll be giving away in one of these bingo games as well, where you'll travel with the team and be taken care of in the team hotel. So that's super exciting, as well as 2 tickets to Zach Bryan. If you don't get to go to travel to that game and you watch it from home, you can win tickets to go to Zach Bryan at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. And then they're also giving away a Sandy's Night Out package. Sandy's is sponsoring the event, so I'm sure they will take care of you with all of that. Probably some free play involved at Sandy's Racing and Gaming there. But after that game, we'll go to dinner on the field. I'm pretty sure the dinner will be set up in the other dugout, if I'm not mistaken. And then John Gordon will speak in the 5th inning. He's one of the best motivational speakers and on the topics of leadership in general in the world. So you won't want to miss that. It's going to be outstanding. And then we'll finish up with the 6th and 7th inning with more games of bingo. We'll do a dessert dash. I'm excited to find out what that is. I'm sure it'll include people running around after they've had a few refreshments, as you said earlier. So it should be fun. But wrap the 9th inning up with the final game. But that's kind of how it's all going to go. I'm excited to be there. The tickets, we are now selling single tickets. They're $250 each. A table is $2,000. And if you pay for a higher tier tables, you'll get more cards to each game for each person at your table to up your odds. So it should be a fun night, and all of the money for this will go towards the Marshall Athletic Fund. So helping out the entire foundation of the herd, celebrating the successes and getting to hear one of the best speakers in the world, one of the best motivational speakers in the world, and all in one night. Sounds like a great night for the herd, if you ask me.
Devin Miller's with us, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. So if someone wants to participate and they haven't got a ticket or they haven't got a table yet, what's the best way for them to get on board with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as if you just Google bingo at the ballpark, Marshall Athletics, or if you go to herdzone.com and go to our events tab, you can go there and find it there for even more information on the actual fine details on how that works. If you buy a table and want more cards, I'm pretty sure you will be able to buy more cards for specific games. So if you want to up your odds to win that Georgia trip or the trip on the cruise, you'll be able to do that. So all those details are on HerdZone and our events tab. I'm excited for it.
Our guest is Devin Miller, the director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. Of course, a standout tight end for the Thundering Herd. And, of course, that go-ahead touchdown in the Notre Dame game. I'm sure that gets old. Everybody just coming up talking to you about that. Oh, I remember that like it was 20 years ago. I'm sure that gets old real quick.
I'm sorry, I missed you at the very end there.
No, I said, I was just highlighting the fact that, you had a standout career at Marshall University as a tight end. And, of course, everyone still probably to this day talks about that score at Notre Dame. And they probably act like it was 20 years ago. And I'm sure that gets old, right?
It hasn't got old yet, and I'm waiting on it too, honestly. But I think I'll be telling that story as long as I'm around to my kids, or anyone who wants to hear it at some point. But I love it, and I'm thankful that I get to be a part of Marshall's great history.
Devin Miller, the director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. Devin, good catching up with you. See, this wasn't so bad because I'm sure you remember all those years where they make you have to come talk to guys like me, during middle of the week, tell us, answer all our questions. I'm sure you remember those days. We're asking you. I don't even know if I want to ask you what the worst question one of us ever asked you was, because you might bust one of us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few games that they knew that I could handle talking to after, and some other guys might not have been able to handle talking to after. But those ones were hard, but it all got me kind of prepared for the spot I'm in now. So I'm also thankful for those hard questions too back in the day.
Devin, good talking to you. Good luck. Hope we get to talk to you real soon. And it sounds like it's going to be fun with the bingo at the ballpark. Yeah, I hope to see you there, man. It's going to be a great night. Thank you. Thanks, Devin. Again, that's Devin Miller, director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. We will get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Thanks for being a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're giving you a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to go see the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cleveland Guardians. That's coming up on Sunday. All you have to do to win is text to win, and that's how you get entered. We'll have the drawing after the show. Going to our text line, texter said they really enjoyed the game yesterday. It was a heartbreaking way to lose, but it was a great game by both teams. Pretty nice thought there. I appreciate that. You can also text in as well. And again, our line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. So can you replicate that crowd at the next home game? Can you replicate those kinds of crowds at Marshall baseball games outside of sort of the name schedule? I know there's a push by Coach Gibson to kind of see if you can get West Virginia back on the schedule and bring the Mountaineers to Jones C. Edwards Stadium. I think that's going to be a lot more difficult than it is in baseball. Baseball's got a pretty good series right now. One at home, one at a neutral location, one on the road. And so that works out. And I think Marshall's got a facility that probably on par with some of the newer and best college baseball facilities in the country. It might be smaller than some, but still, it's on par. And it's a quality facility. And so you're going to have an easier time bringing a program like West Virginia in out of the Big 12, a really good baseball league. Yeah, same thing with soccer. You've got conference mates, but those two programs really helped each other in soccer, and so that makes sense. Tennis, the programs get along. We've highlighted this before. We've talked about this before, and yeah, that was a great crowd. Will you see those great crowds at all the Marshall WVU games? Probably. Will you see a huge crowd in Charleston for Marshall and WVU? I hope so. That would be good as well. But what Marshall needs to help grow the athletic department is to see more of those crowd levels at non-WVU events, for a lack of a better way to describe it. Because tickets help. The more people go, the more tickets sold, the more people are spending in the ballpark or the arena or the football stadium. The bigger the crowd, the more you can probably attract in the future as far as better opponents maybe. Of course, it's a higher revenue stream for the program. There are so many benefits to it. And it actually creates more of a buzz and interest. So outside of the WVU game, if you haven't been to many baseball games, what's the real reason? Is it time? Is it weather? Is it affordability? What is it that keeps you away from going more often and selling out the Jack? So I'll throw that out there. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We have one more break to take, and then we will come back and we'll get your text in when we continue. All of that's coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Some good news today Marshall men's soccer coach Chris Grassi winning the Mickey Fafari Award as West Virginia's College Coach of the Year. That is awarded by the West Virginia Sports Writers Association. So more awards coming in for Coach Grassi. He prefers the team trophies. I know that. Loves those team trophies. Got that College Spring League trophy now to add to the collection. Looking forward to what should be an outstanding season for the Thundering Herd. So close to winning the national championship. Maybe this is the season you get back to that game again and win it. So Thundering Herd obviously looking like it's ready to go already. Maybe I'm speaking out of tune, but maybe mid-season form, possibility there. Don't want to put too much pressure on Coach Grassi. We, of course, will have Pirates baseball coming up for you tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Nationals got the better of the Pirates yesterday, 3-0, so they'll be right back at it tonight in Pittsburgh. 6:15 is going to be the airtime. You can catch Pirates baseball all season long right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We've got a couple more Marshall baseball games as well on our Saturday showcase. What we do, if you haven't had a chance to listen in, every Saturday home game for the Thundering Herd, we carry the broadcast. So it's our Saturday showcase. And so the next game on our showcase schedule is coming up. Now, the Herd's on the road. Marshall's got a few days away from the Jack. But then Marshall will be back in action. It will be a conference matchup against South Alabama. That's going to be April 26th. And then our final game in that is going to be on May 3rd. I believe that's I believe it's May 3rd. And then I think we've got Georgia Southern on May 17th. So I think those are the final three we've got. All the Saturday games, part of our Saturday showcase. Marshall baseball right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So if you missed anything today, you want to go back and you want to, say, listen to Devin Miller. You missed him earlier. You tuned in. Devin Miller was with us, now the director of Marshall's Athletic Fund. You can go back later and catch it on our podcast. We upload that daily. You can download it for free. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just wherever you get your podcasts. And we've got an even easier way for you to get it. You can go to our website and you can listen to it right there. Just hit play, WRVC.com. And you can also download the app for our free of charge for our good friends like you. It's free of charge. All you have to do is hit that link. It'll take you to either the App Store for your iPhone or your Android, and you can listen to the show live. We stream it. You can also listen later in the podcast form. We have a podcast section on the app. So just download the app and you can listen anywhere you're at. You can listen to the show anywhere, live or on the podcast. It's all free. Just head to WRVC.com. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Looking forward to it here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.